so that we have access to Pacman's reference everywhere, we'll just store a reference to Pacman in the game mode. So all the ghosts, if required, can have access to it. So what we'll do is we are going to go ahead and get a reference to Pacman. So we can call it Pacman ref. And this is going to be BP Pacman. Oops, BP Pacman. So basically, once we spawn Pacman, so right now we haven't, but once we spawn Pacman, we are going to store this as a reference. And now, for the on mode change, so under chase mode for Blinky, what we are going to do is we are going to set up the logic in such a way that we are actually going to be able to chase Pacman. So event mode change. So what we can do is based on what mode we are on, so we can again do a switch. So based on what mode we are on, what we can do is if we are in chase mode, we can do something like this. So we can call AI move to, and the target actor is going to be the Pacman. So what we'll do is we'll get the game mode. So casting is a relatively expensive operation compared to just directly having the reference. But in this case, we're just going to be calling it once when the mode actually begins. So it's not really that much of a problem. So cast to is going to be Pacman game mode. And we can convert it to a pure cast, or we can leave it as is. And from this is going to be our Pacman ref, what we have stored there. And that will be our target. So basically what we are doing is we are going to chase Pacman. That's basically what we are doing here. Alright, so in chase mode, it's just going to chase Pacman. As per this if check over here, what we'll do is we'll just remove this over here. So we'll handle the chase mode in the individual derived classes itself. And if there is any variable to change, so we can do that as well. So over here as well, one more thing we can do is we can go ahead and set the mode. So I'm not sure what it's called. So set current mode to chase. So that sort of state handling as well can be done over here. So other two modes are handled in the parent class. Alright. So we can completely ignore this. But in order to fix any problems, what we can do is when we call on scatter complete, what we'll do is we'll check if we are still in scatter mode. Only if we are still in scatter mode, we are going to change it to chase mode. So this is what we are going to do. Since the data for that is in the ghosts itself, so what we can do is either we can get a reference to all the ghosts, which I guess we can do, or another way to do it is to have another event dispatcher separately for on scatter complete, so we can handle that sort of logic over there. So I'm going to do the first approach. I'm going to have the references, so I'm going to call it Inky. Since there are fixed numbers, we are not going to be worrying too much about having it in a more efficient data structure. But if you are really worried about that sort of thing, if you have more number of characters, then you can worry about that. But in our case, it's going to be totally fine. So similarly, we can have Pinky, and we can also have Clyde. So we have the reference to Pinky and the reference to Clyde. Okay. So we are going to set these references a bit later. But for now, what we can do is, one thing is that if one of the ghosts is out of scatter mode, all other ghosts will also be out of scatter mode. So we can kind of exploit that. Or what we can do is we can go ahead and set it in the ghost itself. So those are two ways which we can probably handle it. So what we can do here is we can just take any one of the ghosts and we can just get the mode. So that should be at the last. So if the current mode is scatter, if we are in scatter mode, in that case what we'll do is we'll trigger the change to chase mode. Otherwise we'll let the rest of our logic handle it. Alright. So that should be it. And now our chase mode for our first ghost Blinky should work. So let's see what to do with Pinky now. So for Pinky, it tries to target 4 tiles ahead of Pacman. So let's see how far that is. So this is not exactly accurate, but we can take a rough estimate. So let's say from here to up about there maybe. So can do something like this. Alright, so if I set my snapping to 100, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so I can keep this as 800. So 800 seems like a reasonable distance. I'm not sure. We can actually open up a Pacman map. So just check how we are going to compute the squares. So the first one seems okay. Now if I open this up rather, so we have the squares. So we have 1, 2, 3 and 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's not that far. So I expected it to be far, but it's not really that far. So what we can do is we can reduce this. So I guess 400 was a reasonable distance. So we'll grab a reference to our Pacman and we will go 400 units forward in the direction of Pacman's movement, and that is what we are going to be setting as the target tile. So over here we can get event mode change and we can again do a switch, and if we are about to go to chase mode, what we can do is we can compute whatever we had. So this much is going to remain the same, so we're going to copy this. So this code will almost pretty much be the same. So now under chase mode, what we can do is we can get the Pacman reference, and rather than that being the target, what we'll do is we'll get the Pacman's forward vector. So get the forward vector. You can either get the mesh forward vector or the actor's forward vector, doesn't matter. But in some cases where you're not rotating the actor but just rotating the mesh, you might have to get the mesh forward vector itself. I'll get the mesh forward vector just for being safe. And from this forward vector, we are going to multiply it by some value. So this is going to be our forward vector. So times this is going to be 400. So let me go ahead and make this a float. So times 400 plus the location of Pacman. So plus, so get actor location. So basically what we have done here is we are getting the location 400 units ahead of Pacman. So this is some really simple logic. Of course, there is a chance that it lands on one of the boxes, but in that case, this is going to fail and we are going to redo the logic or whatever. So let's go ahead and take a look. So this should be it. So otherwise we can actually get the nearest possible reachable square, but that will be more complicated, so let's not do that. So over here, in case it fails, we can just come back to this. So we'll just change mode. So mode change. So on mode change, we can call on mode change and we can just say chase. Alright. So we'll see what to do. So we can actually see if the result was something else. So if it's invalid, then we are going to do this. So if it aborted, it basically means some problem with the navigation or it was cancelled off or something. And even if it was blocked, we can just retry that. So if it's off path as well, we can retry that. And if it was aborted, so we'll not do anything for now. We'll see what to do. And upon success, So upon success, we can again continue this. So even upon success, we can do this. Only when it's aborted, we'll have a different logic over there. So if it's aborted, in that case, it means that we probably went to another movement mode. So we can just print it for now. So we can say aborting. This one is chase mode, and we can just print the name of the ghost as well. So this is going to be Pinky. So this is something we can do. Alright. So this should be good. And similarly, we can handle this in Blinky as well. So upon success, so we are going to repeat this. Of course, if we manage to, uh, win the game, or let's say the round resets, so this will probably not trigger. But anyways, we'll just continue this. So we'll grab the same thing, and under Blinky, we'll paste this. So on success or on fail, we can go ahead and do this. So this is going to be Blinky. So ChatGPT has not given us good info about Inky, but what we can do instead is we can try Clyde and then we can prompt it once again. So it chases Pacman if it's far, and it returns to scatter if the corner is near. So I'm not sure what far means over here. So we can assume, maybe a safe distance of about, let's say, 500 or something like that. So 500, maybe we can say 750. So if it's farther than 750, what we'll do is we'll chase Pacman. Otherwise, we'll return to scatter. So this is what we can do. So this is going to be under Clyde. So it's under Clyde. So we'll open BP Clyde over here, and we'll set up the event once again. So this is going to be event mode change. Now under mode change, what we are going to do is we are going to run another switch. And if we are in chase mode, basically we want to check the distance. And in fact, we want to keep checking it every now and then. So we can have a timer for 1 second to keep checking for it. Otherwise, we could even do it on tick. So both are okay. What we'll do is we'll have a timer over here. So we'll create a function for it, and we'll call it check Pacman distance. All right. So over here, what we can do is we can get a reference to Pacman. So get game mode. We are going to cast it to BP game mode. All right. And from here, we can go ahead and check the distance of Pacman. And since we are doing it every time, we can go ahead and store it as well. I'm not sure if I've stored it in BP Ghost. If I have, then we can utilize that. So okay, we do have game mode ref. So wherever we have used it, we can in fact use that. So instead of doing all this, we can get game mode ref, and that is something that we can use instead of this, so we can prevent the casting. All right. So the same thing applies for the other one as well. So for Inky as well, the same thing is going to apply. We can avoid casting by using this. So in Blinky, we can avoid this entirely. So we don't require this. All right. So that's good to go. Now under Clyde, we can go ahead and get the game mode ref, and we can get Pacman. Now that we have Pacman, we can go ahead and perform any operations that we require. So we'll get the distance. So we can get distance too, or you can even get actor location and get the distance. Both are okay. So get distance to is a built-in function, so we'll just use that. And target is going to be this, and we'll also have our self. So if the distance is less than some value, so we'll promote this to a variable and call this one threshold distance. So I'm not sure how much to set it. So we can set it to something like 700 or 750. We can change that if the behavior is not good. So if it is greater than this, we want to chase Pacman. We can just call the timer over here. So timer by function name, and we can copy this over here. We can just call this, and we can make this one looping. And when we enter scatter or chase, we'll just go ahead and invalidate this. So we'll go ahead and call it, what can we call it? We can call it distance check timer. Okay, you can name it something a bit more meaningful. Otherwise, what we can do is we can go ahead and clear and invalidate this timer. So basically, if we are in scatter or frightened, this is not what's supposed to happen. Alright, so this is something that we can do. And over here, if the distance is less than the threshold distance, we want to scatter. So what we'll do is, so let's check. So returns to scatter if near. So instead of going to scatter mode, what we can do is we can instead just target the corner, because if we head into scatter mode, again it's going to be difficult to come back to this mode over here. So instead of changing the mode to scatter mode, we can just target the scatter corner as it's given over here. So this is still in chase mode, so that's how we can implement it. So if you switch to scatter mode, again changing modes is going to be difficult. So now what we'll do is based on the check. So if we are close by, what we'll do is we'll return to the scatter corner. So we'll get corner location, get target corner location, and we are going to call AI move to. So we'll call AI move to, and this will be our destination. And pawn is going to be self, of course. So this is going to work. And another thing that we can do is, in case it fails, we can go ahead and, okay, this timer is going to keep repeatedly calling itself, so that shouldn't be really an issue. If not, we are going to chase Pacman. So we can get the game mode ref, and from here we can get Pacman. Now that we have Pacman, we can go ahead and target him. So AI move to, and target actor is going to be Pacman, and target will be self. Anyway, since this is being called on a looping timer, we don't have to handle the success and failure conditions. So that's it, I guess, for Clyde. So I'll just prompt ChatGPT and get back for Inky.